Do you know what's new for nurses? What about dementia and caregiving? Are you looking to grow as a leader? And what are the current healthcare leaders doing for you? Welcome to the Angie Graham Podcast. Welcome to the Angie Graham Podcast. Now, today we're talking about dementia. Now, there is a history with dementia and how we thought we should treat individuals with dementia and what we've learned over many years of working with individuals with dementia. And this important work and study has been done by many, many people that are in the field. But what I like to affectionately refer to as the godmother of dementia, or this person is with us today, Teepa Snow. Teepa has been an occupational therapist and dementia care specialist with 40 years of clinical experience and the creator of a positive approach to care. She is a leading educator and advocate for people with dementia and other brain changes. Snow's ability is based on her medical research, work and experience, education, and personal caregiving experiences. She's known for the Snow approach method, which aimed to change how people think about dementia and provide more effective treatment. Teepa, I'm just honored to have you on the show. We were just speaking a little bit before the show, and I let you know I was in one of your presentations years ago at the very beginning of my journey working with individuals with dementia. And I absolutely took so much away from that. So welcome.
Well, thank you. And thanks for having me. And yeah, I wish it was just 40. Now it's 45. How did that happen? I know it's like it's been 45 years since I've been in practice. Ouch,
So
took a lot of practicing.
Take us back how did you get started working with individuals? How did this become a passion of yours?
Yeah, I've always been super curious about neurodiversity. So when I was a teenager, I actually did work with kids with autism, kids with special needs, Down syndrome, worked at a summer camp for special needs, spent time during my high school years working with people with special needs. And then in college, it was either go into special ed or go into the medical fields. And I decided on medical. And so I became an occupational therapist, worked at UNC School of Medicine, Duke School of Nursing, UNC School of Nursing, occupational therapy, worked with the Alzheimer's Association. And every time I did work with stroke, with head injury, with people living with brain changes, aging, I would get more and more interested about how brains and bodies and people shift and change, and what happens if we don't notice and pick up on it, and we don't shift and change our expectations, how we set tasks up, the environments, how we react and respond. If we don't do that, things go horribly, horribly wrong for everybody involved all too often. And yet we can choose to do things differently, and how life goes matters to everybody. And we've got to get smarter about it, is my take on it. And over 45 years, I've had so many different experiences and had so many opportunities to try things. My N of how many people I've worked with is pretty huge. So it gives me lots of times to make mistakes and learn.
And we've learned so much over the years. I mean, I remember my father had Alzheimer's, and I remember at his early stage of his disease, they were still talking about trying to reorientate. I don't know if you remember that time.
Ouch. Oh, I really severely remember. I think one of my worst was when two women whispered, "Quick, she's coming. What's today?" And it's like inspiring fear in the people you work with is really not helpful. And so I brought in a coffee grinder and said, "Hey, listen, I brought this in. Do you guys know?" And they go, "Oh, that's a coffee grinder." And so we ground coffee beans and made coffee. It was a whole lot better for everybody.
Right. And I remember trying this technique because I said this should work. And my dad getting very agitated.
Yeah.
Because his reality was his reality. And it didn't take long. He was still a big guy. He was very physically able. So you weren't going to tell him What he didn't
You're
think, he
his
didn't
daughter.
know.
You're not his boss. I mean, who do you think
Right.
you are? I know what I'm telling you. Ugh.
Yeah. Yep. And so right away we knew that we're just going to go along with it because we don't want to deal with him being upset.
Well, what's the virtue of doing it? I mean, it's not going to bring that part of his brain back into operation. It's not going to heal it and make it work again. I mean, that's not happening. So, what are we going to do with what we have, which is we got today to get through? So, let's figure out how we're going to do that.
What is the first step in your method, the first approach to training a caregiver? What is one of the first things that's important for them to understand about dementia?
Yeah. It's about the relationship you have right now. It's not all about what it was before. It's what you make it right now, and relationship before task. If you don't like me, there is very little probability I'm going to be able to get you to do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, to do something in the world. I'm not going to go anywhere with that. So we start with simple things like, oh, I'm Teepa and you are Andrea? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, Andrea, I'm from North Carolina and you're from Wisconsin. Now, what I now know, I need to slow my pace down a little bit because Andrea has to think before she answers. And she was able, when I said North Carolina, she said Wisconsin. So she was able to stick with the topic. And I said, oh, Andrea, I want to show you something. Have I got your attention? Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
So as a carer, I need to realize every time I pass something to you, I've got to wait, make sure I get something from you or we get off sync. And when we get off sync, just like with your dad, there's tension and there's friction. And over time, it makes it harder and harder to do what I'm trying to do, which is if I say to you, Angie, you haven't had anything to drink. And if you say, well, I just finished a soda, it's like, no, you didn't. You've been sitting here all morning. You told me you would drink something. You didn't drink anything. And instead I go, oh, Angie, have you got anything right there to drink?
Oh, yeah.
You do. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Cheers.
And so I achieved it. And the reason I achieved it is I recognize we're in the moment. Mm-hmm. Can I get you to notice something? Can I get you to, with me doing, will you do it? Which is real different than, Angie, I need you to take a drink. You don't want to get dehydrated, do you?
Like to be told what to do.
No. Sort of like you are your father's daughter, I guess.
Right. And the other thing is what we do too is also knowing their history, who they were. Yeah. So if you're talking to someone and they were the principal or they were the boss or they were the head of the household, it's likely they don't want to be told what to do. That was my dad. He was the true head of his household. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I have a question for you. I trust your judgment. Yes. It's raining. Do you think I should have an umbrella? What do you think about? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Take a look at this. I could use your opinion. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I could get somebody up out of a chair who won't move for somebody if I say, ooh, I really respect your opinion. Would you come look at something for me? I can't figure it out. It's like, well, I'll take a look. And it's like, okay, let's go. And it's so true. We talk about, I hate the word behaviors in dementia. And we talk about, the resident is showing this behavior. And so many of those we cause as caregivers, and because we're in a hurry and we're asking too many questions at once, or just how we've approached it. I said, I need to get out of here. I've got to go milk the cows. And without thinking, someone says, you don't have a dairy farm anymore. I mean, this is where you live. Instead of going, oh, you got to milk the cows. You know what? I think I already did. I had somebody else do that because I thought we were going to be tied up here. Right. I mean, figuring out
how to recognize what somebody's trying to tell me. Now, here's what I have to do though, Angie. I really need to figure out, why is he want out of here? Because there's a message behind that message. And it's like, you know what? Could you come check out in the garden area for me? I have something going on there. Because if a man has been, like, say, a dairy farmer his whole life, how much time does he spend inside versus outside?
Right.
Recognize there may be an unmet need. And the reason you're seeing what you're seeing is he's not getting his needs met. And that doesn't feel good.
Absolutely. How do you think the industry has, from where you started 40 years ago to where we've gotten today?
All right. Well, we're not tying people up with sheets. We're not tying the sheets to the wall. We do use disposable products rather than having to wash them by hand. We are not giving people antipsychotics like they're vitamins. We are not restricting people's abilities to do things to a point where they lose. Meanwhile, in most places, I wouldn't say never, but we are working hard to not disable people further by not promoting what they can do as long as they can do it. We still are struggling with the right places at the right time for the right people sometimes, I think. We used to have state psychiatric hospitals where people who had behaviors would get placed with their dementia. And so they would take up a lot of space in the state psych hospitals. We've gotten some better. We have assisted livings in special centers where we're doing that, but we still all too often, when we get pressed, we'll send people to the ER and for a psych eval, which I think sometimes we overuse that resource because we are not doing the hard work of looking internally at what about our environment or our routines or our behaviors are making this harder for the person we're trying to help and the family. Are we including family as much as family can be included? Are we providing support so that people don't miss family so much? I mean, and I think each place that's involved is somewhat unique. So it's an important phenomena to pay attention to, I think, when we're looking for best spaces for people.
We're Talking About It is brought to you by Our House Senior Living. Visit us at ourhouseseniorliving.com. I agree. Do you think the knowledge now that we have that keeping people engaged with activities and an activity program, do you see that we've done a better job with that as an industry?
Yes, I would say COVID really closed so many doors for a while. We're having, in many places, they're still having a hard time coming back from that. I think we were really getting good right before COVID. And I think COVID made it super hard and we lost so much ground during COVID. And we lost a lot of good people during COVID. And I think we're recovering, but we're still in recovery mode. I think many places recognize the huge importance that engagement has for people. And other places are still seeing as an add-on. So as long as we have enough staff for care, then, maybe we can have some engagement people, some activity people. And other places are realizing, whoa, no, we have to have activity engagement people that are doing good stuff with individuals, with music, with purposeful activities, with things that give people pleasure and enjoyment. Or we're going to have more issues that make care more difficult.
So you mentioned psychotropics in your comment. So when is psychotropics a tool in dementia and when is it a detriment?
The hard part is recognizing all psychotropics act centrally in the core of the brain. And for every possible benefit, there's a possible side effect that could impair and impede mobility, balance, ability to think, ability to chew and swallow safely. It might affect your ability to engage and interact. it could slow the system and settle the system just enough to allow you to engage, but it can also overdo it in one area or another and result in a loss of abilities that can be incredibly problematic and lead to a fall and fall related injuries or inability to eat, inability to sit up, and even death. So I think not knowing the form of dementia that somebody has is a problem, because Lewy body is one of those dementias. Ooh, we want to know about that one because that is a super high risk dementia. Other dementias, we want to notice if somebody's making some big changes quickly, because if I suppress their ability to communicate with an antipsychotic and what they had underneath was a abscessed tooth, a broken shoulder, a something else, and what they were trying to communicate is, like, I can't take this anymore. And what we did is suppress that. We eliminated our ability to notice that something acute was going on. And it wasn't just their dementia. There was an acute illness or a new illness or a tumor growing, or, we want to be careful. And I think if we're careful, there's a place, but it's not something we should just throw at somebody as a quick fix. It should always be last resort, least amount. Got to be careful using it for sleep, which I'm seeing more and more, again, a return to that. And that worries me that we're getting back into those habits.
That's where that caregiver education is so important, because if there is a significant change in behavior with a resident, you always got to ask the question of why. Is this an indication of pain? Is this an indication of discomfort? What does that behavior mean? We know it's outside. Is it a UTI? Is it, all of these things?
Is it dehydration? Is it, really getting curious before we start just throwing something into the mix that could deaden the system's ability to let us know a little bit more about what we could do to make a difference.
And I think providers, sometimes we overreact as providers too, because from a regulatory standpoint, you have to keep all your residents safe. So you've got a group of people, they all have dementia, and then all of a sudden, there's something going on today.
Yep.
And what you've got to take action quick, but you also got to be that investigator to really determine what's going on and not just go straight to that PRN. What do we have happening here? What's going on? And really evaluating people. And so many times I hear families talk to me about scenarios that they're experiencing, and there's usually been some signs leading up to then what turns into a major aggressive behavior or something major happening, and we have to pay attention to those early on things that we start to see. And that's where that staff education really comes in, and those concern forms and bringing the nursing
and sometimes family education, because sometimes, yes, let's say a wife visits late in the day, and every time she leaves, within a half hour, we're having a massive event of trying to get out the window, trying to get out. And instead, what we could say is, I'm going to ask for a huge favor. I want us to try it for a week. I want you to visit in the morning. And I want you to say, I'm going to the store. Is there anything I can get you? Would you rather get ice cream or cookies? I'm going to stop by the grocery store because I got to get to the store when she leaves. Could that shift that expectation that the person has that I'm going to go home with you, that I don't belong here, I belong there? So, helping staff think outside the box sometimes, because it's like we need something for him because every time she leaves, and it's like, okay, but let's look at when she's going. Maybe we should work with her on a different pattern, maybe try it and see what happens.
Absolutely. And that family education is so important.
Yeah.
And educating the family so that they have a realistic expectation of what caregivers and facilities can do for their loved ones with dementia. Sometimes families just think that they forget the resident has a right to refuse. If the resident says they don't want to eat lunch, and all they want is the dessert. You know, does it become our responsibility to spoon feed them lunch when they've refused it? And some families think that, well, mom can't make that decision. She can't go without lunch. So you've got to sit her down and make her eat lunch.
Oh, so you're wanting mom to eat lunch. How did that work when you were kids? Because when mom said you have to eat your meal and you were like, no, I just want dessert, she had the upper hand, right? Yeah. Was she going to do well if we try to take the upper hand? How about if we try this? Maybe what we want to do is have her eat with somebody who's a slow eater. And we don't put dessert on the tray. And what we'll try is we're going to try some things with her to see if we can encourage it. And if not, how about if we take the dessert and make it valued? Maybe we're going to make sure we have custards rather than pudding, because now I'm getting the protein in the custard. Maybe what we're going to do is make sure that dessert has something like, milk in it or this in it or that in it. So we're going to figure out how to work together on this rather than simply, yeah, well, she just wants dessert. And it's like, so you're picking up on that. Yes, sweet is really important to her. She's getting pleasure out of it. How can we make use of that then? Because she's not wanting the protein at all. And that's a very common phenomena. So how can we work together to make this make sense? Rather than blame mom or get frustrated, let's work through it.
Right. I totally agree. Or the other one is their loved one is a diabetic and that's all they want to eat is dessert. What are you guys going to do about that? Well, it's a
really good question. What do you think we should do? We should try to get her to, I don't disagree with you, but okay, let me offer you two choices. Mom is satisfied being here and she's okay being here. And we're keeping track of whether or not it's wildly out of control or sort of, it could be better. Because she does have this thing called dementia that, eventually, regardless of what we do, she's going to change and she's going to not be eating. Shall we keep her eating and being satisfied as long as we can? Or do we want her frustrated with us and not willing to eat? How are we going to work this? Because we got to figure it out. And I would say all too often, we just don't. People want a quick fix. And dementia doesn't have a quick fix. It has thoughtful work that we do together to help us figure out how to move forward for this particular person at this moment. And then we can revisit.
And they can't, people with dementia can't always communicate how their taste receptors may be playing
very
tricks
common.
on them.
Yeah.
I've had experience where someone says everything is salty.
Yeah.
No matter what they eat, it's salty, 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 but yet there's no salt.
There's no salt on it. Yeah.
So that their perception or what their experience is, that is their reality. Mm-hmm. And how can we work around that?
Yeah. What are we going to do with it? Well, let's make sure we are doing good mouth care if the person will work with us. And then let's look at, okay, so what could we sweet up? So the sweet may trump the salty, but we may have to sweet it up a little bit. And what could we do that maybe, what about sour? What would happen if we make something super sour? And it's like, ugh. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to have to experiment a little bit to figure this out. But simply arguing with them that it's not got any salt in it is simply
it doesn't get you anywhere. It's not going to solve the problem for the family or for the director or the nursing, the director of nursing.
Nope.
How did you come up with the hand under hand approach? I just love this. Yeah. So where did this come from? What's the story behind that?
The story behind that, I was in rehab and I was doing work both with people who had had strokes and hadn't gotten a lot of return in their upper extremity frequently and for doing things for themselves. And I was working with head injury. So I was working with people after head injury, and they didn't necessarily have a lot of ability. And so I tried the traditional hand over hand where you wrap your hand around the person's hand and try to get it. And what was happening was they were like, get your hands off me. It was like, okay, well, that's not working. So what I started doing is putting my hand within there so I could use my fingers, but they were holding on to me. And all of a sudden they were doing things. And it was like, aha. I figured it out because the palm of our hand is used for things. The back of our hand is used to flick flies away and get something away from you don't like. So when I went to the inside of their hand and I put my hand inside theirs, it's sort of like Helen Keller with finger spelling. Once she got it, it was like, oh, now I've got this. And so once I go within your hand and I help you, let me see if I can demonstrate just really quickly. If indeed, so this is the person and I have this and I give them the drink like this, because their arm is moving to their face, because their hand is moving toward their body, their brain goes, oh, I know this. This is taking a bite. This is brushing my hair. This is brushing my teeth. This is drinking. And all of a sudden, there's nothing foreign about it. There's nothing weird about it. And so they start doing it. And then within 3 bites, many people can actually feed themselves the rest of the meal. The next meal, you have to start all over again because their brain doesn't retain it. But all of a sudden, the abilities like, wow. And the resistance goes way down because of that. And it was really through discovery with working with head injury after coma, because we had a lot of folks coming out of coma really confused and really distressed about people doing things to them. And so figuring that out really mattered. And so it became what we did. And it worked really well.
I love it. So when working with caregivers that are providing care in dementia, is there certain personality traits that you look for someone out of all these years of experience that there's telltale signs they're going to be great working with someone with dementia?
I look for somebody who's more curious about the other person.
Okay.
And they pick up on things right away. And so if they see you sitting there, they might say, ooh, would you like something to drink? I see you don't have anything. Rather than, have you got sodas around here? Which is, I'm more tuned into me versus tuned. I look for people who want to make eye contact with individuals, but don't need to talk. I'm looking for folks who are really interested in other human beings. So people who spontaneously say things like, are you more of, do you like to go out in the rain or do you like to stay inside when it rains?
Yeah.
And I'll wait for your answer. So I'm looking for people who can pause when they notice the other person needs more time. And not people who, ooh, let me get that off your face kind of people.
So some patience there
Patience
too.
does matter. Kindness, empathy matters. But I'm also looking for people who appreciate getting things done, but only with someone not trying to take over and do things. 2 people or 4 people, but rather say, oh, Andrea, could you help me for a minute? I could really use your opinion.
Yes.
Will you come look at something? I mean, I am looking for people who want to engage with somebody, not just get something done.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I have a scenario for you.
Okay.
So my mom, here's the scenario. My mom used to be this nice, sweet woman, and now she's cussing and swearing and mean all the time.
Wow. Okay, so there's been big changes in your mom. Yeah. Let me ask you this. In general, would you say she has the same word list that she used to have, or do you feel like she's lost some language?
Maybe lost some language.
Here's the really good news, bad news. She is probably losing a list of words. Unfortunately, the words people tend to keep are safety words. So there'll be words that connect or words that reject. So the swearing and cursing, she's trying to gain some space and make something right, because something isn't right. If she says, please help me, please help me, more than likely she's feeling that she needs guidance and assistance, but she doesn't know what she needs. Something's not right, though. So if your mom has turned mean, what I would say is she's really struggling with living life now, and she hasn't found satisfaction. So how are you reacting to her mean and swearing? Are you reacting to it, or are you saying, wow, Mom, you sound really unhappy with me right now. Would you rather I leave, or can we talk?
Okay.
Give her a choice. Because amazingly, sometimes when you offer Mom a choice like that, she'll go, well, I want to talk about this. And it's like, okay, so you're wanting to talk about this. Now, what I advise people to do is put the conversation out here, not like you and I looking a lot at each other. So you're going to talk about it. You're not liking something. That's right. Okay. So you're not liking it. Is it something you think I can do something about? Well, yes, you put me in here. Oh boy, here we go. So you're feeling like I'm the one that put you in here. Oh, yeah, Mom. That's not actually, well, let me just say, it wasn't me. The doctor was the one that said for right now, he thought this was where it made more sense. Well, I want to talk to him. It's like, I bet you do. But you know what? He's not here right now. So we can work with that. But what I did was, helping families get to a new space. She is different. A lot of that is the dementia, but some of it is how we're reacting to her dementia. Sure. And if we want it to be different, we're the ones that are going to have to do something different to see what can happen.
Yes, I agree. And there's so many different stages, or what was yesterday could be different today, and it's just
we have different states of function, and we have different dementias too.
Absolutely.
And that's really
a lot for families. I know that visiting my dad, I'd get to the parking lot and I would hang onto the steering wheel and I would think to myself, I hope he remembers me today. That was the best outcome. Even if it was just, and I would say, even if it's just for the first few minutes and his face lights up and he recognizes me as someone that he knows, and then, I'll take that. Yeah. And I know that desperation that you feel as a family member, that you want to feel connected to them. You want to, and then if you go in and you're hit with the I'm angry today day, that can be very, very hard. And I remember experiencing that. I remember going and seeing my dad, and I would sit with another lady in the unit and talk with her more than I got to visit with him, because he wasn't going to sit that day. He was on a mission. He was pacing hallways.
It didn't involve you. It might have involved dairy cows from what I'm hearing, but it probably didn't involve you. He's walking the field. And in that moment, unless you have magic, you can't make the person come back and be where you are. No. And letting go of that need that you have to be with him, and realize, wow, I'm serving someone else's family member here today. And, maybe there will be somebody who visits and they happen to hit it off with my dad. Maybe the woman's husband that you sat with might be a good partner for Dad, sitting down, because farmers sit down and, have a cup of coffee and talk, or don't talk a lot of the time. But maybe that's what he needed that day. And, we wish it could be different. It just is what it is, as I say. What are you going to do?
I remember as the daughter, I finally had to just give up the expectation. So, family, you come in and you have an expectation that I'm hoping he's going to do this, or I'm hoping, my mom or dad are going to do that. And I just had to give that up. And I thought, I'm here, and I'm going to take whatever today brings. And look what it did for me, being in that dementia unit. So, Teepa, the story behind my story is I didn't grow up with grandparents. So I was actually afraid of elderly people.
Oh, wow.
And so all of a sudden I'm in a dementia unit with my dad, and he had young onset dementia. And the greatest gift the greatest gift that came out of that was being able to connect with seniors and being able to love people with dementia, because as difficult as some of the things that people with dementia experience, there's also the laughs.
Yeah.
There's also the little lady who thinks you're her daughter that day, and she's so happy to see you.
Yep.
And she wants to hold your hand and just tell you how beautiful you are and you're looking so good. And that became the expectation of going to visit as the family member is I'm going to visit the unit today, all of them that are here, and whoever needs some company. If my dad is busy doing his thing and his disease, there's so much here that I'm offered with between the staff and, the other people. So I learned to, as a family member, I had to learn how to pivot and understand that maybe there's a reason why I'm here. And I'm just going to fulfill the purpose while I'm here today, whatever that is.
And that's a huge leap. And for some family members, it's too big a leap because I'm hurting too much. Right. I am so missing the person that I'm missing that when I come, I can only be there for like this much before I have to leave. It's too much for me. And I say dementia care isn't for everyone. I mean, no. I want to be really clear. It really isn't. And there's no shame in that because computer repair isn't for everyone. I know it's not for me. I mean, I know how to plug and unplug and say, this isn't working. That's and I'm willing to own that. I mean, this is not my area of expertise. This one is. And so we can all develop abilities. But once we reach our potential, we need to acknowledge maybe I need to let go of this expectation that I will be the carer and that what I can be, I can help manage the money and make sure somebody goes to visit. That's what I can do. What I can't do is be the one to be present. It's too painful for me. I haven't got the skill set. I tried. I'm not good at it. And the good news is there are people out there that do learn to love it, learn to develop the skills and are good at it. And we can become a community.
I agree. We're seeing an uptick, or we have seen an uptick with young onset dementia. And with that, we're also seeing sexual behaviors. I hate the word behaviors, but again, how do providers navigate that and still respect resident rights in a safe way?
Yeah. So it's really important to recognize the difference between sexual behaviors and sensory seeking behaviors.
Okay.
And the things that are in between. If you look like my wife and I'm a male and you look like my wife, then my assumption is our connection is that of spouse. Whether it's true or not, my brain says that is what the case is. So I would come up to you and want a really big hug and then maybe want to kiss you. And so having a carer recognize, oh, he thinks, oh, okay, here we go. And so what I want to do is shift my body sideways as a carer, put my hand up and go, John, so good to see you. Now, what you can't see is I've left my left arm down in front of my chest, and I'll take my hand and I'll offer a one-handed hug. And then I'll take that hand and get in alignment with them with hand under hand and say, you know what? Let's go down here and get something to drink. And I'm going to intervene in such a way as to keep him from engaging in something that gets him in trouble or identified as inappropriate, and me in a situation where my brain starts to go, ooh, I feel threatened. Ooh, I feel scared. And it's like, okay, well, let's make sure that we're interpreting this. And if he wants to touch, what I might do is say, ooh, let me give you a hand massage. And have him sitting in a chair with a table in front of him and, do some hand work. Maybe do something that allows there to be touch, friendly touch, but not sexual touch. Also being aware if he says something like, oh, I want to F you, which can happen with younger onset. You want to
Yes, it
go,
can.
sounds like you're really liking me. Tell you what, not today. But what I can say is I would really like to go and show you something that you could do. Because if I don't give him something else to do, how do I know the next place he might make that statement might be someone else that I would prefer he not make that statement to?
Right.
Because he's not doing it in a thoughtful, meaningful way. It's simply a spontaneous desire to have a relationship. And I wish frontal temporal, frontal variant didn't happen. I mean, if there was a wonderful gift in the world, I'd say no more FTD because it's really hard. But I haven't figured out how to do that. So what I believe is we need to get smarter about noticing. And I'd also say leaning in like this is a really bad idea. Wearing scrubs and standing in front of somebody is a really bad idea. Really looking at how you sound, how you look really makes a difference. And when there are issues happening, making sure we're dealing with them, like really quickly responding to concerns, but not labeling. It really concerns me when I hear a lot of labeling of sexually inappropriate behavior, because it's like, well, tell me more about what happened. Well, I was helping someone else and he patted me on the back end. And it's like, where was your back end? And it was like, well, I was working with a woman in the chair next to him. It's like, well, I mean, I hate to say this, but were you leaning forward like this and was it sticking out? And it's like, well, yeah. And it's like, if it's in the visual field and it's within arm's reach, I mean, you said, go ahead, check it out. So let's look at positioning ourselves so that we're not offering opportunities that are not helpful opportunities. Because to me, we need to quit blaming people who are living with brain changes that they can't control for brain changes they can't control while keeping others safe. But it means we got to train people better if we're going to take folks in with younger onset. We've got to make sure we're doing that work.
And I think our nurses or our directors also need to communicate this to families, because this can happen very suddenly.
Yep.
You can have a resident who all of a sudden starts wanting to be a little more physically touchy or, and they haven't. But it's the disease. It's not necessarily the person. It's probably an unmet need. Like you said, they have a need for affection.
Or they misunderstand. If I'm taking somebody's clothes off to start a shower and their brain is like, I don't have dementia. It's like, okay, we're having a party. And it's like, hand under hand can make a big difference here. I want you to unbutton your shirt and I'm off to the side is very different than I'm standing in front of you unbuttoning your shirt. So simple things make a big difference sometimes.
Yeah, to make sure that we're not triggering that. Perfect. Our approach is not triggering a response that we're not looking for.
Yep.
Very good. I've never heard the name Teepa before. What is the history of your...
Okay,
I love the name.
Yeah, it's a weird name. It's very odd. People will say, are you Native American? It's like, no. My mother would have wanted to have been, but we aren't. There's a little bit in the background, not enough to claim anything. And it's Iroquois. So where it came from, my mom thought Teena was a very clever way to spell Tina. Turns out it's just a weird way to spell Tina. It was in a book. She thought it was neat. When I was a teenager, I worked with kids with special needs. And I had a little boy named Michael, and Michael couldn't say Tina. He had a speech problem. He'd go, Teepa, tell me toy. Hey, Teepa. And all my friends started calling me Teepa. And then my family started calling me Teepa. And so by my mid-20s, everybody called me Teepa. So I legally changed it from Tina to Teepa. And so Teepa is a given name from a little boy with autism and a speech problem.
Well, I love it. There's no one else out there with the name. I don't think so.
There was a poodle at one point. Somebody named a poodle after me, and I went, poodle? I guess they're smart.
I want to thank you for your contribution to all of those individuals with dementia and your life's work has been so impactful to so many people. So thank you so much for that. And, just like my own experience, sitting in a presentation with you, and I remember just, wow, I still remember those wow moments of, yep, she's right. Yep. And the things that I could do better. And I took that with me. So
Well,
thank you so much
for staying in it, because way too many people, once it happens and the journey's over, decide I'm done. I'll never do that again. And instead you said, oh, this is the launch and I will do this. Not only again, but more.
I felt the calling, honestly. And it took me from the time that my dad passed away. It was 10 years before I actually entered the industry. I always felt that calling. It was I say that the elderly were calling me. And I had to do some healing from losing him.
For sure.
And that reconciliation that goes along with grief of why did this happen? And what am I supposed to learn from this? And it was too young, too this, too many that. And then I finally just said, you know what, I'm going to take this and I'm going to use it. I'm going to carry it like a torch and I'm going to use it. So, but thank you for your life's work. And I really appreciate having you on the show. And if I'm looking at my cards here, you have an organization that you're still a part of.
Yeah.
And I do believe you still offer resources, correct?
Yeah, we have two. We have Positive Approach to Care, which is the international company that I founded. And, I still do work with that. And we go Australia, US, Canada, England, all over the place, across the US. We do have certifications and we do trainings and we do programs. But the other one is in Hillsborough, North Carolina. We have Snow Approach Foundation, where people come here, and we're also building a community here that's dementia confident and competent in real time. So come and visit.
So what you're saying is you're never going to really retire. You're going to keep on working on the work.
Well, I'm probably like one of those plow horses that you just keep going till you're like, oh, where is she?
Well, again, thank you so much for all that you've contributed to working with individuals with dementia. It's certainly been very impactful that you've made, because I can't think of anybody that I work with in the industry that doesn't know who Teepa is, especially that name. We can't forget it.
It does draw people's ear, if nothing else. They're like, what a weird name. Is she Native American? That's usually the second. Are you Native American? It's like, nope, just different.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
And thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
For more of the Angie Graham podcast, check out our YouTube channel or our website, theangiegrahampodcast.buzzsprout.com.